I'm Mike Rorta with VideoGameInfo.com. I'm here with Daryl, the head of the studio for
Crystal Dynamics.
All right. It's been a while since we've had a chance to spend some time with Lara Croft. Why bring it back to a prequel?
Well, for us, we really wanted to actually give people a chance to get into the franchise. It's been a franchise running for 15 years at this point.
Yeah.
And obviously it's got a good legacy, but we wanted to make it a franchise for the next generation, you know, for a modern audience, rather than just a franchise that was from the early days that people kind of kept with. So we really felt that it was getting to the point, similar to something like a Bond or a Batman, these long-running franchises in movies, where essentially we have to update it for a new audience, a new generation, right, and a new era. And we felt that we were actually in a rare position that in video games, we haven't really had to deal with that yet because video games are so young, and us being one of the oldest franchises in video games, we're sort of going through that for kind of the first time to really take it to a more modern audience.
Yeah. Speaking about kind of updating it, so Tomb Raider came first, and then Uncharted came out, and people said, oh, Uncharted is just Tomb Raider with a guy. But then it's been such a long time since we've had a Tomb Raider title, the comparisons are going to be inevitable. Yeah. So how do you guys distance yourselves from that, and what does this bring to the table that's unique to the adventure platforming games?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's good comparisons to have. Uncharted is a great game.
Absolutely.
So, you know, no problem with that. I mean, ultimately, they're character-driven and story-driven action-adventure titles.
Yeah.
And I think there's room for more than one, right? You know, summer blockbusters, there's lots of action movies in summer. Each one of them has their own unique flavor, but they all have lead characters, and they probably all have explosions in some form. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not that simple. I think that when you actually get to experience it from start to finish, that uniqueness really comes through. For a start, we have Lara, right? So that's a big differentiation. We definitely have a more humble character, and I think the most important thing is we're seeing her go from zero to hero.
Yeah.
Right? She's not starting at the end of her arc. She doesn't come out with two guns blazing. She really starts at the beginning of this journey, and we're actually seeing that go all the way through until she becomes this iconic hero. I think our tone is definitely a different tone to Uncharted as well. I think we've got our own flavor, our own tone. We've got our own signature game, weapons. We've got an upgrade system. We've got the ability for the player to influence how Lara is upgraded as a character, also the weapons. And also in game structure, we're different as well. You know, we have these very personal, intimate moments in the game, which you may have experienced in the demo.
Yeah.
We also have the sense of freedom. It's not an open world game. It's not Skyrim, it's not Assassin's Creed, not GTA, but we do have hubs. And hubs are what we call, you know, pockets of exploration and freedom, where, you know, you're not necessarily on a straight path. You have the freedom to roam around. You can find secondary tombs. So our game structure is also different too. So ultimately, it's one of those things where, you know, there's a lot of small things that actually feel like it's very different to some of the competitors out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about Lara's transformation. She starts out at the beginning of this game, not the, you know, swashbuckling action hero that we're used to. So how do you take her through that transformation, and are there physical changes? You know, how do you, from an artistic standpoint, show that happening? Yeah.
Well, what we really felt was interesting was to show the journey. And I guess when we really thought about, well, what's the roots of Tomb Raider, and really this action adventure thing, right? We said, well, what does that really mean? Deep question here.
Yeah.
And when we thought about it, we really felt that when we actually thought of people going out and discovering far-flung places, and we remember stories from, you know, whether it's books or movies or TV, it's actually the stories you remember. It's not the destination; it's actually the journey. Yeah. And you know, say someone climbing Everest, for example. You don't remember the bit where they say, "Hey, you know, I was on top of Everest and I put a flag on top, and it was a clear day, and you know, it was a great happy moment." You remember, at least the ones I remember, and I'm paraphrasing, it's the ones where somebody was frozen and they survived in an igloo and they drank snow, and they, you know, foraged and ate a candy bar for 2 weeks or something like that, right? And somebody died along the way. There was an avalanche, and then they got to the top and put a flag on, right? So the journey is something that we felt was the essence of what we wanted to capture, and that essence is pushing a character through things that as a normal human you can empathize with and say, wow, that's rough, right? I'm not sure I could do that. In the same circumstances, would I be able to overcome that challenge? Which I think when you hear these stories, like, you know, 127 hours or something, where Aaron Ralston cuts off his own arm. You're like,
Yeah.
I don't know whether I could do that.
Right.
Right? What
Right.
would you do forced to actually go through that? So we wanted this game to be about that journey, to be about the stories you can tell when you remember the game back, where it's like this crazy thing happened and this character, you as a player, went through it. All of these things that builds her into this character at the end and defines her. So she's definitely left scarred at the end, mentally as well as physically. But that is part of what makes her this icon.
All right. Any one specific gameplay mechanic that you just can't wait for people to get their hands on?
The bow.
Yeah?
This is my personal favorite. I mean, actually two. I actually think that the control of the character is great in this game.
Right.
We have an analog control system. So rather than just jump and you find out whether you made it or not, and the game kind of calculates for you. That's kind of the old way of doing things.
Right.
Other games actually do that as well. What we have is the ability to keep in control all the way through the air, right? So there's basically a subtle form of air steer. So when you hit jump, you've got the ability to twist on the stick, twist here, pull back, go forward.
Yeah.
So if you're a little bit off, right, on old Tomb Raiders and some of the other games that have traversal, if you're angled wrong and you hit jump, you're basically dead.
Yeah.
Okay, angled wrong, dead.
Yeah.
This one, obviously you still die if you wildly miss, but you have the ability to actually stay in control of the character all the way from start to finish and kind of correct that. So
Very
I think
cool.
that feels really nice on the sticks. The other thing for me is the bow, as I said.
Yeah.
Bow, we really want that to feel like a signature weapon.
Okay.
Almost in the same way as the two pistols used to.
Right.
And the bow, we haven't revealed its full functionality, but it's a character in this game, I can tell you that.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
Great. Thank you, Daryl. Thank you for your
Thank you.
time. And we're looking forward to reviewing the full game. Make sure you check out videogameinfo.com.